We'll discuss the program, admission requirements, and resources available to distant learners. We'll also share some information about the University of Alabama and the School of Social Work. We will hold a question and answer period at the end of the session. To ask a question, just type it in the text box down on the bottom left-hand side of the screen like this. Thank you, Sonia. And feel free to type your questions during the presentation. We will address them at the end of the presentation. We are recording this session. The recorded session will be placed on our website for future reference. We will also provide you with a link to the recorded session in an email that we will send out in the next few days.
Well, let me just share just a few things about our School of Social Work. This is Dr. Jackson again. Our School of Social Work is the first School of Social Work established in the state of Alabama. As you can see, we were established in 1965. We're the only comprehensive university that offers a BSW, MSW, and doctoral program. Our program is accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, and we've been accredited since we were established, which is, we're really proud of that. And we're ranked nationally. We're one of the top 50 schools of social work by U.S. News and World Report. So we're especially excited about that because, as you know, those of you who've done research, there are hundreds of schools of social work across the country. So we're very proud to be ranked among the top 50 schools of social work. Our primarily online program, in which you're inquiring about tonight, has been consistently ranked in the top 10 for online education by bestcolleges.com. And so we're also proud of that ranking. We've, in 2013, we received an award through UPCEA, which is a Regional Program of Excellence Award. So we're really excited about where we are and the history of our program, and not only the history, but where we're going as a School of Social Work. Well, let me share just a little bit of information with you about just an overview of our program in terms of our typical students and just some general information. Our typical students are students that work full-time, particularly those students who already have their bachelor's degree in social work or their BSW, and they're enrolled in our advanced standing program. So they're working full-time. They often have families, and they're juggling multiple responsibilities. The average age of our students is around 32 years old. Most of our students reside, in a variety of states, actually across the Southeastern. We actually have also had students from as far away as California and Oklahoma, but the majority of our students actually come to us from the state of Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. Our MSW program, again, as we've shared before, is offered in a primarily online format. While most of the coursework, though, is offered online, one of the expectations for our students is that you also attend an on-campus orientation in Tuscaloosa, and that happens, and that's a requirement for all of our students prior to beginning our program. And we've gotten feedback from students who enrolled, and it actually becomes one of the highlights of their experience in terms of setting the pace and giving them critical information to get ready for our program. So we look forward to seeing you at orientation if you decide to move forward with us. Our students, in addition to taking those online courses, we also ask that our students participate when they're taking practice courses, that they also participate in face-to-face skills labs. And those labs are held in reasonably convenient locations for our students, and those labs take place 4 Saturdays in the month. So roughly about 1 Saturday a month, the expectation is that you would come to a face-to-face skills labs. We have labs in Birmingham, Gadsden. Our newest lab is in Huntsville. We also offer labs in Mobile, Montgomery, and Tuscaloosa. And I'll share, we're working on a model right now. We're excited and we're hopeful that we'll be able to offer a model soon where we offer our skills lab in the Atlanta area. So I know we have some Georgia folk and maybe some folk even traveling further. So we're hoping that we'll be able to add Atlanta to our location really soon. Our students are able to choose from 2 primary concentrations: children, adolescents, and their families, and adults and their families. And you can also choose an emphasis in program and agency administration as an option. So we have 2 programs that we offer. One is our advanced standing program, and the second is our 60 credit hour program. The advanced standing program is our 42 credit hour program that is only for those students who hold a bachelor's degree in social work from a CSWE accredited school. Our advanced standing program, if it's done full-time, pursued full-time, our students can complete that advanced standing program in only 3 semesters, which is pretty awesome. Advanced standing students have 1 field placement that is, and they complete 500 hours of field, and Kimberly Gibson is definitely going to talk to you more about that. Students who enroll in our 60 credit hour program, this program is designed for students who have bachelor's degrees in other areas other than the BSW. It can be completed in 2 years if you pursue it full-time. Students in that 60 credit hour program complete 2 field placements, 500 hours their foundation year, 500 hours their concentration year. So you finish our program with a total of 1,000 hours of field placement. So a little bit more about in terms of our admissions requirements. All students who are admitted into our program are required to have a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution. We require that our students have a GPA of at least a 3.0 overall or a 3.0 average from their last 60 semester hours of coursework completed towards a degree. Advanced standing students or students who want to be considered for our advanced standing program also have some additional admissions requirements. Of course, I mentioned before, you have to have a bachelor's degree in social work from a CSW accredited program. Advanced standing students also have to have a B average or better in all of their professional foundation classes, no more than 1 C in their professional social work courses, and the final requirement is a grades of B or better in their field education courses to be considered for that advanced standing program. We do have a category that we sometimes use if students don't meet certain requirements that we call a conditional admission. In order to be considered, you need to have a GPA of at least 2.5 overall and a score at the 50th percentile or higher on the MAT test, or a score of at least 300 on the GRE, and that's combined quantitative and verbal sections. The analytical writing section of the GRE is used as an evaluation tool in light of the admission committee's assessment of the statement of purpose and the professional awareness statement, or those essays that we ask you to do. We can also consider that, and so if something's happening and you don't meet minimum requirements and you'd like to be considered for conditional admission, you can always reach out to us to share that. So now I'm going to actually shift and we're going to allow Kimberly Gibson, our MSW field coordinator, to share some additional information about field placement opportunities.
Hi everyone. As you can see, students typically complete field hours 4 to 5 days a week during traditional business hours. MSW students are required to complete 500 hours in their practicum, like Dr. Jackson mentioned earlier. Extended field education placements are available to accommodate students who cannot complete the required hours during 1 semester. As Dr. Jackson mentioned earlier, a lot of our students are juggling multiple responsibilities, other employment, families, things like that, that hinder you devoting 4 to 5 days a week to field. So students approved for extended placements must complete at least 2 8-hour days in placement during traditional business hours. However, a waiver to propose alternative hours is available in limited circumstances dependent upon agreement of the field agency and their ability to meet learning objectives. Of primary importance is the ability of the agency to meet the learning objectives during these proposed alternative hours. Waiver applications are only available once a student has interviewed with an agency and discussed alternative hours. We do not place on the variable of alternative hours. Waiver applications must include information on how the learning objectives will be met, the proposed work week schedule, and agency signatures indicating agency approval of alternative hours. The University of Alabama School of Social Work also has a long-standing Washington, D.C. internship program. Placements range from congressional offices on Capitol Hill to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, to the Latin American Youth Center, to homeless shelters. This is a very popular and competitive program, and I would encourage you to consider it. We also have students completing international placements in various parts of the world. We have a faculty member devoted to our international placements who would welcome a discussion with you regarding your interests. Now let's talk more specifically about your field placements. If you will be an advanced standing student, you will complete your 500 field placement hours in the spring semester of your concentration coursework. If you're a 60 credit hour student, you will complete 2 500-hour field placements, one in your foundation year and one in your concentration year. The field office works diligently in securing appropriate placements in or near students' geographic locations. There are many opportunities for growth and development during field. During the application process, you will have an opportunity to share with the field office your educational goals for this aspect of your educational experience, as well as your areas of interest. Currently, those areas of interest include, but are not limited to, healthcare, child welfare, mental health, domestic violence, corrections, homelessness, teen pregnancy, counseling, substance abuse, military and veterans affairs, and hospice. And now Fan will talk to you about resources.
Thank you, Kimberly. As a distance learner, you will have access to the same resources available to campus students. You are eligible to apply for federal financial aid. Students eligible for military educational assistance may use their benefits here at the University of Alabama. Distant learners have access to all university library resources, and that include access to scholarly databases, assistance with writing and citation, tools and tips for research, and the interlibrary loan program. There's also a dedicated distant learning librarian on staff to assist students as they navigate the library resources. The Writing Centers offer online assistance and tutoring to students who are unable to visit the campus location. The Center for Academic Success provides individualized tutoring, study skill workshops, and exam review through web-based methods to meet the needs of distant learning students. Blackboard tutorials are available for those who have never taken an online class before. And for tuition fee, distant learning students pay a flat hourly tuition rate regardless of residency. This rate does not include any applicable course fee or books. Students have the option to purchase access to Student Health Center and the Student Recreation Center, but you must be enrolled as a campus student in order to be eligible for athletics tickets. And for our scholarship, the College of Continuing Studies offers scholarships to students who are currently enrolled in degree program facilitated through College of Continuing Studies. You must be currently admitted or accepted for admission in order to apply for our scholarships. Applications are accepted year-round, and scholarships are rewarded each semester. And now I'd like to share some information about the University of Alabama. The university was established in 1831 as the state's first public college. Approximately 37,000 students attended UA, with about 5,500 of those students enrolled in graduate programs and about 4,600 enrolled in distant learning programs. We are an accredited and reputable institution. And within the next few days, you will receive an email from us with information that includes important website addresses and contact information, as well as links to the record session. So if for some reason you were not able to jot down any information, or you missed some information during the session, don't worry, we will send you that information with the link so you'll be able to review this recorded session later. And that would conclude our presentation. Now we are open up for questions. Feel free to type in your questions in the chat box on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. And what we will do is that I will read out the questions, and I will ask either Dr. Jackson or Kimberly to help me answer those questions. First questions I have: I graduated with a 3.2 GPA from the DSW program. However, I have 3 or 4 C's on my transcript, and I'd like to know if I can possibly still be admitted into the advanced standing program. Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this question?
Sure, Dan, I'm happy to answer. My question would be if those courses that you have the Cs, with those courses, are those social work courses? Because our requirement is that you can only have one C in your major social work courses. And so I'm happy to have a follow-up conversation with the student that had that question. Feel free to email us, and we can give you more detailed information. And if you'd like to be considered for conditional admission, if those courses are in social work courses, then we're happy to have a conversation with you as well. But we primarily ask that you only have one C in your social work courses.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And Sandra, I will also send you my information after this session. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Next question I have from Mona. She said, I'm interested in the dual degree program also. Aside from the main MSW program, we also have two dual degree programs. One is MSW with JD, and the other one is MSW MPH, Master of Public Health. For these two programs, you will need to secure admission for the MSW program first, and then later on apply for the other one of those two programs, either the JD or MPH. And Mona, I will send you more information about these dual degree programs after the session today. Next question I have, are students allowed to request specific placement or for field education? Are religious organization an option for field placement? And is the program intended to lead to the LICSW license? Kimberly, would you like to answer these questions for me?
Sure, I'll start. For the field application process, students will complete that. It's a very comprehensive application. And within that application, you can let us know if there are specific placements in which you're interested. We're going to base our match on your interests and your geographic preference, so as well as any other pertinent information that you give us. We do not exclude organizations as a placement opportunity based on their religious affiliation. And Dr. Jackson, would you like to talk to the program and licensure maybe more specifically than I can?
Sure. We do encourage our students to seek licensure after graduation, so our curriculum is designed to prepare students for licensure. But of course, licensure really depends, the type of license and the requirements for licensure really depends on the state in which you live. So I would encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to go to your Secretary of State and search for social work license and see what the requirements are for your state, because it varies from state to state. And I'll also say quickly, the initial license is not that independent clinical license or the LCSW. Your initial license allows you to practice as a generalist, and then states have additional requirements like supervision and hours of practice beyond your MSW before you can sit for that clinical licensing exam. But we do offer courses like psychopathology and advanced clinical practice and some other practice courses that will prepare our students to sit for a licensure exam. And we're also offering a couple of licensure prep courses or courses a couple of times a year that our students can take advantage of. And we're also doing providing some other support through our Career Services Department for students to encourage them to get licensed. So great question.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Thank you, Kimberly. Next question I have is the GRE required for all admissions? So Amber, the GRE is required for conditional admission, and that is when you or any student do not have an overall GPA of 3.0 on a 4.0 scale or 3.0 for the last 60 credit hours. Next, I am currently working towards a bachelor degree in human services with a concentration of children and families. I have a GPA of a 3.89. Would I be able to take class for a master degree? Tara, if and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm understanding is that you want to apply and take just a couple of classes, or would you like to apply for the whole program? If you just wanting to take a couple classes, you can always apply as a non-degree seeking student, and then take up to 12 credit hours. However, you still need to satisfy the admission requirements to do so, the regular admission requirement. And if you're applying for the main program, then a GPA more than a 3.0, you will not need to submit a GRE or Miller Analogy test score. Next question I have, can field placement be at one's place of employment? Kimberly, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. So we do offer a work site option for students. There is an application that you will complete. There's several criteria that must be met in order for this to be a placement match. There is detailed information about work site placements on our website in our field education manual. And this can only be an option for one placement if you are in the 2-year program. If you have specific questions about your situation and your agency, I'll be happy to communicate with you about those. Feel free to email me or call me, and we can talk about that.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next, I graduate in December and plan on starting this MSW program in the spring. Will I automatically go into field placement? Kimberly, would you like to answer this?
So you will not automatically go into field. Field is completed after you've done either your foundation or your concentration year of classes. So you would look at your calendar and your schedule for your program, and you would go into field after you've completed those foundation year or concentration year classes.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next, I also have another question regarding to field. With an 8 to 5 workday, is that a realistic opportunity for placement during the workday?
I'm not sure I exactly understand the question.
I do apologize. Let me just reread that. With an 8 to 5 workday, what is realistic opportunity for placement during the workday?
All of our placements are typically scheduled during the traditional work day. There are some agencies that offer opportunities for students during non-traditional business hours. Sometimes there are groups that occur in the evenings, but the majority of hours are completed during a typical 8 to 5, 7 to 4, 9 to 6 type work day.
Thank you, Kimberly.
That answers the question, though.
I think you did. Next question I have, how many classes are required to be taken at one time? So Tara, for this program, since we are targeting students who have a full-time job and possibly a family responsibility at the same time, you could either go part-time or full-time for this program. On our website, we do have a sample curriculum time schedule for you to view, but usually it's going to be, if you're going to go full-time, it's going to be around 4 classes per semester, 4 to 5 classes per semester. Like I said, you can also go part-time. There's no requirement that you need to go full-time all the time. So you can go part-time, and we do have one of our staff here at the School of Social Work who will be more than happy to help you go through and give you a layout what the part-time schedule can be. And Tara, I will also send you information, her contact information. So if you have questions about going part-time, she'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Next question I have, are we able to choose our own field placement? Kimberly, would you like to answer this?
All right, so like I said earlier, within the application for field, there are opportunities for you to let us know about your areas of interest and any other information that we would need in making the placement, but the field office actually makes that match for you and handles a lot of the communications with agencies and vetting the agencies in order to make sure that we're making an educationally sound match for your field placement. So we appreciate your input, and that information is helpful for us, but the field office actually handles all of that for you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next I have, are there any opportunities for paid field placement? Kimberly, would you like to answer this?
We do have several field placements that are stipend placements, meaning there is funding attached to those. At this time, a lot of those opportunities are tied to the Alabama and Central Alabama area, but there are those opportunities, and we'll do stipend information sessions once you're admitted to the program.
Thank you. Next I have, if I have a 2.7 GPA, can I still be accepted? So the school social work also offer conditional admission for students who do not have an overall GPA of a 3.0 or 3.0 for the last 60 credit hours on a 4.0 scale. You need to, for the conditional admission, it will be a GPA of at least of a 2.5 overall, and also a test score, a GRE test score of a 300, minimum of 300, or a Miller Analogy test of a 50th percentile or higher. There's also the requirement, especially the school will review the writing session of the GRE, and also they will review your carefully review your statement of purpose and the professional awareness statement. Dr. Jackson, am I missing anything?
No, Dan, that was very accurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next question I have, what is the timeline for admission in the program? Abby, since we have two programs, the first is the 42 credit hours program for students who have a bachelor degree in social work. The program will start in the spring and also the summer. For spring admission, deadline will be September 1st of every year, and for summer admission, this deadline will be February 1st. For students who apply for a 60 credit hours program, and that is for students who did not have a bachelor degree in social work, deadline will be for summer, that will be February 1st, that is the deadline. And for this year and also the year coming, we also have a fall start date, and the deadline that will be April 1st. Next question I have, can we do our field placement at our place of employment? And I believe Kimberly has already answered a similar questions previously, so I will move on to the next question. If we are granted admission into the MSW program, does it only begin in spring semester? Meaning if we get in now, when we start until around January. So what I'm understanding is that if you are going to apply for the 42 credit hours, yes, it will start during the spring, and classes will start on January 10th. And Mallory, if I did not answer your question correctly, feel free to comment down below and let me know if there's any part that I'm missing out. Next question I have, are there any field placement options at the Veterans Affairs in the Mobile, Biloxi, or Pensacola? Kimberly, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, and we do have field placement options with the Gulf Coast VA region.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next I have, I was unable to access the instructions online regarding the statement of purpose and professional awareness statement. Can we talk more about this? Can the link with instruction be emailed? Yes, I will email you the link to the guideline on how to complete the admission, complete the admission package. I will note down your email address, your contact information, and I will send you that information after the session tomorrow. Next question I have. My bachelor and master degrees are both in theological field, not social work. Would you please recommend a primer type book I can purchase to get my feet wet? Mark, we also have a 60 credit hours program for students who do not have a bachelor degree in social work. And the only difference between this program and the 42 credit hours is that the 60 credit hours program will have kind of like foundation social work program that will get your feet wet before you apply for the program. So you won't be completely an alien before applying for the program or get into the main program. Dr. Jackson, am I missing anything?
No, I think that was great, Fan. And as we often have students in that 60-hour program, as you mentioned, that don't have a background in social work at all. And so that's the purpose of the foundation year. The foundation year, that those first credit hours and that field placement is to introduce you to the field of social work, to give you the foundation knowledge that you need before you choose a concentration and graduate from the program. Of course, there are all kinds of books out there about social work, careers in social work, those kinds of things, if you'd like to take a look at that. But our foundation year is designed to give you an introduction to the profession.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have, will I be allowed to use resources at the University of Alabama Huntsville location? Stephanie, we have our online services, for example, the library services, also the touring service, all online. You can use the University of Alabama Huntsville location resources publicly, not as a student. We're two different institutions, unfortunately. Next question I have: Do you have advice for those of us who are currently working full time in an unrelated field and want to pursue the full time as well? If not full time, how long would the program take? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. Just to make sure I understand correctly, I think, again, if you don't have a background in social work, of course, you would qualify for the 60-hour, the 60 credit hour program where you get that foundation and you move into the concentration year. It really depends how fast you complete that program. Really depends on you and your schedule, and what you're able to do. As a distance student or the student in our primarily distance program, again, you could go full time, meaning that you would take anywhere from 3 to 4 classes a semester and graduate in a couple of years. Some students are not able to do that because of just the demands of graduate level coursework and the demands of family and work responsibilities. So they need to go part-time, and of course, when you go part-time, that's going to stretch out or extend the amount of time that it takes to graduate. So that really depends on you in terms of how quickly you move through the program. But I can say that we've had many students that have been successful in transitioning from a non-social work background into the program, completing the program, and moving forward successfully. I hope I answered that question. If not, maybe add some more information for me in the chat area, and I'm happy to expound a little more.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Feel free to type in your questions, and right now, just feel free to type in your questions in the chat box. We'll address them right now, and I will also ask either Dr. Jackson or Kimberly to help me answer those questions. So we'll wait for students to start typing in the questions, and I will read them. Next question I have: is the GRE required for this program? And if so, how much weight does it hold in the acceptance process? Dr. Jackson, could you help me answer this question?
Sure. The GRE is only required for students who do not have a 3.0 GPA. So if you have a 3.0 GPA, overall, or at least in those 60 hours, those last 60 hours of your undergraduate program, then you're not required to complete the GRE. But if you do not have that grade point average of 3.0, then you are required to complete the GRE. So if you have the GPA, then you don't have to worry about taking the GRE. The only exception I would say to that is if you're interested in applying for certain university-wide scholarships, some of those scholarships will require that you have a GRE score. So, you know, you would definitely want to think about that if you're interested in applying for some university-wide dollars.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next I have, is it necessary to take the GRE when applying for normal 60 credit hour program? Amber, the GRE is only required whenever you need to apply for conditional admission. And like what Dr. Jackson just mentioned, if you're going to apply for some scholarship that requires the GRE, then yes, you will need to have the GRE test score. Next question I have, for admission, is there any sort of letter of recommendation required? There is. Students are required to submit 3 letters of recommendation, and those 3 can be from professional resources. If you want, you can submit at least 1 from an academic resource, but if you don't have any contacts from your previous institution, you can always submit from, you can always have professional references as your reference. Dr. Jackson, am I missing anything?
No, that was perfect, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have, can you give us an idea of exactly what a skill lab consists of? Kimberly, would you like to answer this question?
I think Dr. Jackson might be able to better answer that question.
I do apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I was going to say, Kimberly, you definitely can do it, but I'm happy to answer that one. Our skills labs, we're really excited about them because it's an opportunity for our distance students to get an opportunity to meet face-to-face, physically face-to-face with other distance students, and also meet with faculty. Those skills labs are held on Saturdays. Your classes would typically, you'd have 1 class from 8 to 12. If you register for a second practice class, it'll be on that same Saturday from 1 to 5. So for 1 Saturday a month, you could have a full day of coursework. And the purpose of the skills lab is exactly what it means. It's demonstration of skills. You're going to also be enrolled in a course, a practice course at the same time, where you're getting the theory and that general content. You'll come to the lab to demonstrate the skills that you're the content and the skills that you're developing, or the skills that you need for a particular area. So again, labs are generally 8 to 12, and then, or you may have one in the afternoon from 1 to 5, but you would only have to meet 1 Saturday a month, even if you have 2 labs. And generally, we don't register students for more than 2 labs in a semester.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next question I have, I also would like more information about the MSW/MPH program. Kita, I will send you the information about this program in an email. I will send it out tomorrow so that you have the basic information about the program on hand. Next I currently have an MS in criminal justice. I assume my status would be the same as those who hold any other degree status, correct? What I'm understanding is that you want to know whether you are going to need to apply for the 60 credit hours program. And yes, because your bachelor degree was not in social work, then yes, you need to apply for the 60 credit hours program. Next I have, hi, what are the prereqs? Is a statistics class required as a prereq? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this question?
Will you repeat that question for me, Dan?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, our student is wanting to know what are the prerequisites or any prereqs course before they actually start the MSW. So whenever they apply for the 60 credit hours program, the classes, the basics classes that they need to take before they start into the main Master of Social Work classes.
Well, I'm kind of hearing 2 things. One, if they're starting in our 60-hour program, of course we have that first year will be foundation courses. And so you'd be required to take those foundation courses and then have a foundation field placement. And then your second year will be, you'll choose a concentration and complete courses in a concentration area, and you'd have a second field placement. We do not require any specific courses prior to enrolling in the social work program. The only requirement is that you have to attend our orientation that's held in Tuscaloosa, and that orientation is held at the beginning of the semester, and we do require that all of our students come to that orientation. That's the only thing that's required before you actually start taking any of your social work classes. And that orientation is required for advanced standing students and 60-hour students as well.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And also, this students also want to know whether statistics class is also required for the whole MSW program.
If there's a specific class required?
Statistics class?
Or statistics. Actually, no. We do have research, though. We do have a couple of research courses. One is an evaluation course and another research course. So there's not a statistics course like you took in your undergraduate program, but we do have a couple of research courses that you take that we know you will absolutely love, because social workers need to understand how to do research, and we want to be able to use the latest evidence as we work with our clients. And in order to continue to get our programs funded, we also need to be able to collect outcomes and research the work that we're doing. So you will have a couple of research courses, but not statistics.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I am currently attending a different university this time. I will graduate on September 21st. When will I need to apply to ensure that I'm going to be accepted in a timely manner? It will depending on which program you are wanting to apply and you need to apply, either the 42 credit hours program or the 60 credit hours program. Like I said, 42 credit hours, it will start in the spring and summer, and the 60 credit hours program will start in the summer and also the fall semester. Next question I have. My career goal is professional counseling. I assume that UA's online MSW satisfy our state requirement for LPC, correct? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this question?
I sure will. Actually, our MSW program is not designed to prepare you for licensure as an LPC. Our MSW program is designed to prepare you for license as a social worker. With the license as a social worker, you are able to do counseling if you get licensed in your state and meet your state's requirements. Social workers work in agencies. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and with my LCSW, I've had my own private practice before, and with an LCSW, you can do independent work and counseling and provide therapy for different groups. But of course, you need to be aware of your state's requirements for licensure. But our courses are designed to prepare you for a license in social work, not professional counseling. Social workers do counsel and do provide therapy, but we do it with our social work degree, not the counseling license.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And I have seen a couple of students who request more information about a dual program. I will note down your contact information, and absolutely I will send you the information about the dual program after this session today. Next, I have my current degree is in psychology and child and families. Would I still be able to apply for scholarships or on-campus assistant? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. As long as students are accepted into our master's program, you can apply for scholarships. We ask that you apply early so that you meet scholarship deadlines, but we consider all of our students that are admitted into the master's program regardless of your bachelor's degree or the area, because our scholarships are designed for students who are pursuing their MSW. So you will be considered, although you don't have a bachelor's degree in social work. And we have scholarships that have been donated from a variety of folk that are specific to certain populations or certain requirements. And we try our best. Our Student Services Office tries their best to pair scholarships with students, based upon the requirements that our funders have asked. But you are eligible as long as you're accepted into our MSW program.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have, can you start the program during any semester, or do you have to start during a certain semester? The 42 credit hours program for students who have bachelor degree in social work will start in the spring and the summer semester. And for the 60 credit hours program, it will start during the summer and the fall semester. And this program is for students who do not have a bachelor degree in social work. Next, I work from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Are any consideration given to field placement during alternate hours? Kimberly, would you like to answer this?
Sure. We touched on this earlier with our extended placements. So the field office recognizes that students are bringing a lot of responsibilities to them when they come back to school, and working full-time is one of those. Field hours, like we said, were traditionally completed 4 to 5 days a week during those traditional business hours. Recognizing that students are working full-time, we did implement our extended placement policy, which allows students to be in field for only 2 8-hour days per week. So it's a compromise between working and completing your field placement requirement. So that's an option that we have. Some hours can be done alternatively outside of those or in addition to those 2 8-hour days, provided there's supervision and tasks and things like that to be completed. But at this point, 2 8-hour days must be completed during traditional business hours.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next, so if you are not applying on a conditional basis, you do not need to take the GRE. That is correct if you're going to apply as a regular admission condition. If you're just going to apply a regular admission, you do not need to submit the GRE test score. However, you will still, as a part of the admission package, you also need to submit the statement of purpose, also have the diversity essay part of the statement of purpose, resume, 3-letter recommendations. Dr. Jackson, am I missing anything?
Oh, no, you didn't miss anything, Sam.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have a master in clinical psychology and have worked as a geriatric social work for 21 years. Can I not apply for the advanced standing program? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this?
Sure. First, I want to just congratulate that whoever that student is that has such amazing practice experience. That's wonderful. Unfortunately, our Council on Social Work Education has strict requirements and would not allow us to admit students into an advanced standing program. They say only students who have a bachelor's degree in social work can be admitted into our advanced standing program. So that's not a University of Alabama policy. That's our Council on Social Work Education that accredits our school and schools of social work across the country. That's that requirement. I will say, though, that those years of experience and your background, your educational background, will definitely prove valuable in terms of the conversation in the classroom and as you write papers and those kinds of things. You'll definitely use that experience, all of that experience. But unfortunately, we cannot consider you for the advanced standing program. It's strictly for students with a bachelor's in social work.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have, if we enroll in the program, will we have an academic advisor and access to student support services? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this?
Sure. Yes, you will have access to an academic advisor. We're really excited that we have an advisor and advisors. We have one primary person that will be working with our MSW students, and then we have faculty that also serve as academic advisors. We have an amazing student services team, and that will be available if you have questions about different areas. And of course, the MSW office, myself and our MSW program assistant, Kelly Seaman, is also available if you have questions or need support. So we'll wrap a lot of wonderful people around you to support you throughout this process as you move forward. When you come to orientation, you'll get a chance to meet a lot of these people, particularly student services folk and the academic advisor, MSW academic advisor, and you'll also meet quite a few of our faculty as well. So we'll introduce, part of the purpose of orientation is to introduce you to your support team, in addition to our wonderful partners at CCS as well, who do quite a bit to support our students in the midst of the program as well.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next I have, what is the best area for social work, for a social worker to concentrate in to help change policies to advance society and economic justice? I am very interested in the opportunity to complete field placement in Washington, D.C. Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this?
Sure, I'll do the initial and see if Kimberly has anything else she wants to add about Washington, D.C. It's really up to you. You know, we have those two concentrations, adolescents, children and their families, and adults and their families. So it really depends on the type of policy advocacy you want to do. Do you want to advocate for policies for adolescents and children and their families, or do you want to do that for adults or the elderly population? And so either of the concentrations will prepare you to do policy advocacy. The concentrations just kind of are geared towards those courses, particularly the practice courses in the concentration year, kind of gear you towards mental health specifically with a certain population. But either of the concentrations will allow you to do some advocacy work and policy-related work. And you will have a couple of policy courses that you will take while you're in our MSW program. And so, again, it's really up to you in terms of the kind of policy, because if you're interested in that area, you probably already know that there's so many different areas of policy and advocacy that you could choose. So you probably should just kind of think about, you know, do you want to do work? Which population would you like to do that policy work with?
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have a 3.0, 3.4 GPA, but I also have 2 C's in Human Behavior 1 and 2. Can I still apply for the Advanced Standing Program? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer that?
Sure. Of course, our requirement we share with you, our requirement is that you only have 1 C. If you'd like to be considered for conditional admission, if you want to kind of give us an explanation of what happened with that, we're happy to read that information and to consider you for the program. But we really ask that students not have more than 1 C. But I encourage you, if you're interested and you really want to be a part, that you submit that information and you give us some type of explanation in terms of your standing with those 2 courses. And we may also require that you, because of having those 2 C's, you may be required to submit a GRE score as well.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And I do apologize. Kimberly, you were supposed to give us more information about the field placement in Washington, D.C., but I skipped to the next question. I do apologize. Kimberly, would you like to give us more information about the field placement?
I can. I would like to echo what Dr. Jackson said. I think, you know, discerning where your passion lies as far as those policies and what you want to help change and to advocate for would help determine which concentration for you to take. In addition to that, Carol Phelps is our DC coordinator, and she is wonderful. She's been in that position for several years now, and there are a lot of incredible placements in DC and several policy placements. So just off the top of my head, I can think about the Child Welfare League of America, the Human Rights Campaign, practicums that are on Capitol Hill. So there's definitely a lot of different areas to touch on policy within that DC placement. And even, you know, locally too, we can work on policy placements if DC for some reason does not work out. But I think DC is a great place. You're right there in the, you know, mecca of policy and what's happening. So I think that's a great goal, and we'll be happy to work with you through that process as well.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next, I would be looking into the 60 credit hours program. When is the soonest time I will be able to start? Mallory, the soonest that you can start, that will be for the summer 2018. deadline will be February 1st of 2018, and you need to submit all the required documentation, including the application, by or before the deadline. Next, I have also another questions regarding to deadline for the 60 credit hours program, and that will be for summer semester, for summer start date, that will be February 1st of 2018, and for the fall of 2018, the deadline will be April 1st. Next question I have, following up to my earlier question, can you tell us how UA students in the past have successfully completed field placement while working from 8 to 5? I believe Kimberly has already answered this question, but Kimberly, would you like to add in anything or go over a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely talked about the requirements for our program. We have many students who were working full-time through the program and have negotiated hours with their work. You know, sometimes you have to shift hours for your work to be able to accommodate the hours that are required of field. Some agencies that employ social workers offer educational leave that students are able to take advantage of in order to accommodate field hours. Some students shift down to part-time work. So there's several different ways that students have worked it out and have been creative in doing so. Dr. Jackson, do you have anything to add to that?
I think you touched exactly on what I was thinking, Kimberly, that we just want to encourage you that, you know, we know it's a challenge. Of course, field is a requirement. It's part of our accreditation, so it's not something that we can adjust. But we can say that we've had many students who've been successful in negotiating that and navigating that when it came time for field. I would just encourage you to start early with having those conversations with your place of employment in terms of what you need, and, you know, having those conversations about field, even though it may be a long ways off. Kind of go ahead and start talking to that supervisor about what the requirements are and exploring what your options are. You know, some students end up working in the evenings, or they'll work, you know, 2 or 3 days a week so that they can have those 2 days for field. Employers have allowed students to take leave, as Kimberly said, you know, their vacation time. Just students have gotten really creative, and employers have gotten really creative in working with the students. But I think you have to start that conversation, and you have to ask. And that way you have a sense prior to field of what your options are.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Thank you, Kimberly. Next, I have, what takes place during a face-to-face skill lab? Is this a full-day requirement or a set number of hours per month? Thank you. Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this question?
Sure, and I think I touched on it before, so I won't go too long. Again, the face-to-face skills lab, you're in the classroom with another group of students, with a faculty member. You're demonstrating actual skills depending on the practice class that you're in at the time. Your classes are generally 8 a.m. to 12 noon. You have an hour for lunch break. If you're registered for a second lab, it could be from 1 to 5. So it's one Saturday a month from either 8 to 12 or 1 to 5. Or if you have 2 labs, then you're in the lab, you're at that site all day. Our labs take place at community colleges throughout because we wanted to make sure that you have an education, you're still in the educational environment. So we partnered, CCS has been wonderful, our College of Continuing Studies has been wonderful in identifying colleges around the state for us to partner with and to offer those educational environments. And so you have, as we mentioned before, you have several choices. And hopefully you can choose a site that's closest to you or most convenient for you to choose from, to drive to or fly into.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have another students want to have information on direction on how to complete the statement of purpose. And yes, I will send you the information after the session. Next, I have, it's going to be relate back to a previous questions regarding to a student wants to know how to get his feet wet before they apply or before starting the MSW program. He would like to know if there is a book that you could recommend that would let the student kind of get an idea, get how to get their feet wet before they apply for the program. Dr. Jackson, any recommendations?
I actually don't have a particular book or a particular author that I would recommend, but you're welcome to explore. If you want to go to Amazon and explore, go to our bookstore even and explore an Introduction to Social Work textbook or explore Careers in Social Work textbook. You also can just do some searches online and just, just kind of assess careers in social work. But I just assure you, even if you don't take the time to read a book or Google any material, your foundation courses will prepare you. We don't expect you to come in, when you're in that 60-hour program, we're not expecting you to come into our program with any knowledge about social work in terms of foundation or theory or any of those kinds of things. That's the purpose of our foundation courses. So we don't expect you to have to do any homework or research ahead of time. That's what those foundation courses are for. So again, you're welcome to read material and to purchase other books, but that's what you're going to get in your foundation. So again, just come and submit that information, submit your application, and that foundation year will get you prepared for that foundation information in social work.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, can you please provide me more information regarding timeframes and additional information for placement that you offer in Washington, D.C.? Kimberly, would you like to answer this?
As far as the time frames go, that information will be sent to you once you're admitted to the program, and you'll start getting lots and lots of emails about field. We'll talk about the Washington, D.C. program at that orientation. Carol Phelps is typically there, so you'll be able to meet with her during a break or something perhaps. But if you have specific questions about the D.C. placement, then I would encourage you to send her an email. Her information is listed on our website. She's part of the field team and faculty at UA. And so you can email Carol Phelps, and she'll be happy to talk with you about placements and different things like that.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next, if you have the GPA but no background in social work, will you still be able to attend the distance learning programs? Yes, like Dr. Jackson mentioned, we have a lot of students whose background was not in social work, and if they have the bachelor degree in social work, if they do not have a bachelor degree in social work, they would still be able to apply for a 60 credit hours program. If you qualify for regular admission, you do not need to submit the test score. If you do not, there is also the conditional admission. Dr. Jackson, am I missing anything?
No, you didn't miss anything. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have, before I apply, do I need to take the GRE test first? It will be dependent on what your GPA is. If it's a overall 3.0 or more, or 3.0 for the last 60 credit hours, you do not need to submit a test score, so you do not need to take the test. Next, I have, does the 60 credit hour program start in spring or only in summer/fall? The 60 credit hours program only starts during the summer, and for next year, we also have a fall start date this year, and we'll also have a fall start date next year. So yes, the 60 credit hours program will start in the summer and the fall semester. Next, I am a new College Life Track student focusing on community studies. So would I need to start with the 60 credit hours program? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this?
Sure. Yes, if you don't have a bachelor's degree in social work, then we require that you that you apply for our 60 credit hour program. The advanced standing program is only for students who have a bachelor's degree in social work from a CSWE accredited program. All other students have to apply for our 60 credit hour program.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have, can someone describe what the school is exactly looking for in regards to the statement of purpose and the diversity essay? Dr. Jackson, would you like to cover this?
Sure, and I would definitely recommend that you just kind of read through the material. What the school is looking for, what the admissions committee is looking for is your writing style and your ability to write. Again, you're applying for graduate school, so I encourage you to definitely allow someone to review your writing. We want to make sure that you write well. Not that you have to be perfect, but you have to do a lot of writing in graduate school, and as social workers, we have to do quite a bit of writing. And so that's one of the things that we're assessing. We're also just interested in your thoughts and ideas and your experiences and why you're interested in a career in social work. And so we want you to make sure that you answer the questions and you follow the directions, follow the instructions, because that's important for a professional social worker as well. So again, we're looking at the quality of your writing. We're looking to see if you answer the questions. And those are the primary things that we're doing, and just to get to know you and to identify if you're a good fit for our program. But again, I encourage you to make sure that you allow someone else to review your information prior to submitting it to us.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And Brian, I will also send you an email with the link to the guideline on how to complete the admission package, so you will be able to have those directions. Next, I have, if I graduate in December 2017, can I still apply for the advanced standing for spring 2018, or will I have to wait until summer of 2018? Dr. Jackson, would you like to cover this?
I'm sorry, Dan, I missed the question. Can you repeat it for me?
Yes. If I graduate in December 2017, can I still apply for the advanced standing for spring of 2018, or will I need to wait until summer of 2018? Students want to know if she is going to graduate in December, can she be admitted priorly before she graduates, or she has to wait until summer when she has all the transcript in order to apply?
Well, no, you can go ahead and apply, and your acceptance will be pending your completion of your bachelor's program. So we encourage you to go ahead and apply, do the admissions application, submit the other documents, and the only thing that we'll be waiting for is your final transcript. So we encourage you to go ahead and apply. You don't have to wait until you've completed graduation to apply. So we look forward to receiving your materials.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have, can you send a semester-by-semester course requirement for the 60 credit hour program that begins in the fall? Emily, we do have our curriculum schedule sample on our website, and feel free to look it through our website for that curriculum. And if you have questions regarding if you're referring to the schedule for being part-time, we'll also have one of the staff from the School of Social Work who will be more than happy to answer questions, or who will be able to assist you with what your part-time schedule will be. And Emily, I will send you her information via an email after this session. Next, I have, what is your current enrollment in each program? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this?
Sure. Our current enrollment right now for our full MSW program is close to 400 students. We probably have about, I guess a little over half of those students are in our distance program, and then the remaining students are in our campus program. So we have a viable MSW program that's growing, that's very competitive. But again, we welcome great applicants and great students to our social work program in general, but specifically tonight our conversation is about that distance program. So we encourage you to apply.
Next, I have, after admission or acceptance into the program, what are the next steps in starting your program? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this?
Sure. Once you are admitted into the program, you're going to get some information from our office, from our student services, our registrar, You'll also get some information from the College of Continuing Studies, and that information will give you instructions on preparing for the beginning of your program. It'll talk to you about orientation and what those requirements are and when those dates are. And it'll talk to you also about registration and getting you ready for that. So once you submit your documents, you'll receive a letter from us in terms of acceptance into the program, and that letter will have instructions in terms of what the next steps are. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us anytime in that process.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I have another question saying that when do we need to start applying for UA and social work scholarships? For our College of Continuing Studies scholarships, you have to be admitted into the program in order to be eligible to apply for our scholarships. Dr. Jackson, would you like to touch base about social work scholarships?
Sure. In order to be eligible for our social work scholarships, you have to be accepted into the social work program. And so the first step is to, get those documents in and get accepted into our program. Once you get accepted, someone from Student Services will reach out to you to give you information about applying for scholarships and what those deadlines are to apply for scholarships specific to social work. We also encourage you to go to our University Financial Aid Office, their site, and also seek opportunities through the Financial Aid Office to apply for university scholarships or perhaps some national scholarships that may be specific to students in social work programs. So, definitely don't wait in this process just for the School of Social Work. We encourage you to seek other opportunities for funding outside of our social work program.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next question I have, do you have a scholarship specifically for distant learners? We do. We have scholarships that targeted or mainly just for our distant learning students. For more information about our scholarships, feel free to go to our website, bamabydistant.ua.edu. We have all of our scholarships listed on our website, so you'll be able to review what are the options are and which one will be most applicable for you. Next question I have, I'm scheduled to graduate in May 2018 with a BSW. When should I apply for the Advanced Standing Program? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer this?
Sure. Again, it depends on when you'd like to start, but if you're scheduled to graduate in May, if you'd like to start our program that summer, then you need to definitely meet our deadline for summer admission. You don't have to wait until you've completed your undergraduate program. You can start the admissions process prior to graduation, and we'll get your information, and your admissions decision will be made based upon, we'll make an admission decision, but of course it will be pending receiving your final transcript from your institution. But you can go ahead and apply if you want to start as soon as the summer. After you graduate in May, then you're able to do that. And we have several students that end up graduating in May, and they start our program also that same month. So it's really up to you, or you can wait to start in the spring.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I work for the state. Would I be able to do field placement there? Kimberly, would you like to answer this?
Sure. Depending on who you work for the state, that may or may not be an option. Some state agencies do not allow work site placements, so that would be something that we would be happy to talk to you about on a one-on-one basis.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next, also, where should we register to take the GRE test? I would recommend you to go to the GRE main website and just narrow down by the location. Their website have a search option where you'll be able to put down your location, and you'll be able to register to take the test on their website also. Next question I have, my passion is mental health. Are there an abundance of field placement for this area? Kimberly, would you like to answer this?
Yes, we do have field placements available in the area. of mental health. As far as the abundance of those, a lot of that depends on your geographic regions and things like that. But if that is your passion, then we will work very diligently to find a field placement that is educationally sound in mental health.
Thank you, Kimberly. Next question I have, is it possible to score high enough on the GRE to qualify for the Advanced Standing Program? Dr. Jackson, would you like to answer that?
Sure. The qualification for the Advanced Standing Program is not just about the GPA, but you also have to have a bachelor's degree in social work. So we're happy to consider you as long as you have the BSW from a CSWE accredited institution, and if you don't meet that GPA requirement, then we will also look at your GRE scores.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And also in the chat box, Sonia has included the GRE website. That's where you'll be able to look for testing facilities, locations, and you'll also be able to register your test there. And for students who are requesting information about the dual program, I will absolutely jot down your information and send you the information about the dual program after this session. And we'll wait for a couple of minutes for students to, if they have any questions, they could put in the chat box. I can see that there's no student typing right now. So thank you so much for joining our online information session for the Master of Social Work tonight. We appreciate your attendance. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for joining us tonight, and Rotai.